Want to make a simple dream catcher? I'm going to show you how. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how to make this dream catcher with just a few supplies you probably already have around the house. The first thing you'll need is something to wrap around the hoop and hang for the tails. I like to use yarn with texture. You can mix up a few different colors and textures, or even use lace or fabric that's cut or ripped into strips. For the one I'm making today, I'm just going to use a fat white blanket yarn and this mohair metallic yarn for the accent color. The other thing you'll need is 1 part of an embroidery hoop. The center hoop is nice because there's no metal screw on it, but I'm going to just go ahead and use the outside hoop today and show you that in the end, the bump where the screw is really doesn't matter that much. To get started, you'll need to cut about 3 to 4 arms lengths of yarn and roll it into a ball. Trust me, it's much easier to do this when the yarn is in a ball. Start by tying the yarn to itself a couple of times, and then just tuck the tail over and start wrapping. Keep the yarn close enough to cover the hoop, but you don't need to worry about keeping it super tight and close. Just wrap it up and get it done. When you get to the end, just cut off the extra yarn and make sure to give yourself enough of a tail to tie it in a double knot. Now it's time to do your web. You could use the same yarn that you used on the hoop if you wanted a super simple look. Really, anything goes. Whatever you decide to use is super helpful to cut the length and roll it into a ball again, just like you did before. How much you'll need is totally dependent on how much webbing you'll want. A couple of arms lengths is usually enough. If you run out, don't worry, you can always add more by tying it off and just adding another strand. Pick any random place to get started and tie it in a double knot to secure it to the hoop. For the first few runs, I like to take the yarn ball all the way around the hoop before making the run to the other side. This way your yarn doesn't loosen up and it just keeps things secure while you get things started. After you've made a few passes, you can start to weave the ball in and out of the previous runs. By intersecting the lines and going back to the hoop in random ways, you'll get a nice random weaved pattern. You can be more intentional with patterns the more you practice. With this one, I'm just totally going in any which direction. When you get it how you want it, just tie it off with a double knot and cut off the excess. Now you're ready to cut your tails. It's easiest if you lay it out and cut the length of the tails on a flat surface so you have an idea of how long you want them and how many of them you want. Don't worry about making them perfect. You can always trim them if you want after they are all tied on. To attach the tails, just take the looped end and pull it around the hoop. Guide the tail up through the loop and pull it through. Gently snug it up to the hoop and move on to the next. Once those are all done, you'll repeat the process with whatever accent color and materials you want. With this one, I decided to attach the blue thread right in between each one of the strands of the white yarn. In the end, it's up to you how much or how few of these accent strands you want to put in. And there you have it. I recently helped the young women in my church group make these as part of our social distance at home girls camp. If you want to see what we did for that camp, I have another video that goes over all the fun things we did. As part of our camp, the girls were able to work through a camp workbook with a variety of different tasks and activities. For each activity, I created a charm or a trinket they could collect and hang on their Dreamcatcher. The heart on this one is just a plastic button, and I just glued it to the top of a clothespin. These feathers were fun. I just used a bunch of different findings that I had in my jewelry making stuff and used these clips to attach them to the feathers. For the most part, I just found different charms and things that went along with the lessons in the workbook and just created some fun little things that they could hang in one way or the other from their Dreamcatcher. I found these plastic buttons on clearance, and I just attached a jump ring and glued on some leather straps. These wood discs were a lot of fun. I just cut some branches into the thickness that I wanted and wood burned the design into them. The butterflies were super popular. They're just stickers left on their backing with a little pin attached to the back. If you can't tell, I had a lot of fun making these. Feel free to drop any questions or comments below. If you want to see future videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the little bell to receive notifications each time I post a new project. I'll see you next time.